how do you keep yourself motivated? Motivation is a fleeting energy. This is why world-class achievers do not rely on motivation. Because how many of you agree, motivation, right? There are days you and I feel motivated. True. But there are also days where you and I do not feel any form of motivation, right? We wake up feeling like life is a drag, everything's hard. It feels like there's 1,000 pounds on your shoulders right now. How many know what I'm talking about? So you'll notice that motivation really fluctuates throughout the day. So world-class achievers do not rely on motivation. But if you're looking to up motivation, research has shown you can't really up the motivation. It's more about how you're activating this motivation. So you've got the same amount of motivation, but how you're activating it really determines how you really feel this motivation. Now, what do I really mean by this? If you think about what motivation really is, if you want to get to the deeper motivation, is about the motive of your action. Yes? So if you look at people who are really motivated, they've got a big why. They've got the big reason, right? Whereas if you look at people with lousy motivation, they've only got the what. Such as, I want to make some money. I want to make $1 million and I'll travel around the world. That's not very inspiring. How many of you agree? But if the why behind that is because I want to break free of generational curses, well, that's pretty big, right? And that'll probably get you pretty fired up every single day. True, by the way. So the type of motivation really matters. This is the difference between intrinsic versus extrinsic. So these $1 million goals, it's extrinsic, not very deep. But the intrinsic, what's the why behind that? That can get you more alive. But in general though, world-class achievers do not rely on motivation because again, fleeting energy. What do we rely on? We rely on discipline. What's discipline? Because we've heard about it a million times on YouTube. It's kind of boring now, right? But what is discipline? To put simply, discipline is controlling your primitive-based desires. To put simply, is doing what you said you're going to do long after the mood you said it in has left you. To put simply, discipline is integrity at its highest form. You getting this? It's you following through on what you said you're going to do. And you and I know integrity, is you making your word law, right? So when your word is law, that's when you are embedding integrity into your life. And every time you do what you say you're going to do, think about this. Every time you do what you said you're going to do, then what you said you're going to do becomes your reality. Now, think about how powerful that is in terms of a programming, because you have now just thought about something and you've just done it right now, and it has now become a reality. And the mind is now seeing it in your reality. How powerful is that just for a moment if you're really wrapping your head around this in terms of a programming for the mind? Because you have just gone from thinking to seeing it. And so if you keep on repeating this process, you are proving to your mind that your word is law. You're proving to your mind, if I think this, if I dream this, this is going to become my reality. And by that point, the mind will surrender because it will know without a doubt, this is indisputable truth. It will become your reality. It will obey your orders. But on the flip side, let's say tomorrow, a friend texts you and says, hey, we should go for dinner at 6 p.m. at the restaurant. And you're like, yeah, it's been a while. Let's catch up. Let's say you show up tomorrow, 6 p.m., and they're not there. How would you feel? Well, you might give them benefit of the doubt. You might say, oh, you know what? Maybe they got busy. I'm going to rearrange. So tomorrow, you say, let's meet tomorrow instead, 6 p.m. So you show up tomorrow, you're like, okay, I can't wait for this dinner now. And they're still not there. How would you feel? You might give them the benefit of another doubt. And you will say, all right, come on, let's meet tomorrow. And let's say they do not show up again. Let's say they keep on do not showing up. Let's say they do not honor their word over and over again. And let's say all of a sudden they now text you saying, hey, I promise I'm going to show up. I promise I'm going to show up tomorrow. Would you even show up? Would you even listen to them? Would you even hear them out? The answer is no. The reason why our mind doesn't want to hear us out in terms of our dreams, the reason why our minds sometimes are working against us, not for us, is because we have trained our mind to distrust our word and our intention. And this is why all we hear is not the inner champion, but the inner criticizer. Anytime we're trying to do something, the mind's trying to put us down. Because again, the mind does not trust us. How many of you are getting this? So to restore faith, we're going to begin to do more of what we said we're going to do. You getting this? It means to really make your word law. And before you know it, you'll notice you will have momentum because now the mind works for you. Now, how many of you notice how true this really is? If you wake up in the morning and you honor your word, how many of you notice the chances of you honoring your word in the noon is very high? True, by the way. How many of you notice it goes towards 100%, as in you've activated this word, right? You're honoring it. And as a result, you're also honoring your afternoon projects. On the flip side, if you lie to yourself in the morning and you say you're going to go to the gym, but you don't, chances are you're actually going to delay everything else in your life that day. How many of you notice how true this really is? This clearly shows the way we train this brain matters. It's like training a wild animal. We're going to restore faith back in ourselves, right? Confidence. What does that mean? Latin, confidere, to trust and rely on. Building this trust. Everybody knows it, but not everybody becomes it. Integrity. You seeing this? Integrity. How many of you are getting this? So regardless of what happened yesterday, you can forgive yourself. We can start today becoming a person of integrity. Now, you've registered this Q&A and you've made it here. You've already honored your word. Now you're going to honor your word in the next moment, the next moment, next moment.